Welcome to the war, and here's a progress update with my Macedonians and my Republican Romans. And just kidding, we're playing a game of the Barons War today. Johnny Grogan, thank you for your comment. I would love to play some more Barons War, and I've put together a table here that you can see to get a battle report going. So it's going to be two 500-point forces, inspired by some of the unit selections that are in the Death and Taxes rulebook. But essentially, it's going to be a 500-point aside game, and I'm going to be playing the Hero Slayer mission, which is essentially points-driven, tally up of whatever each side kills or eliminates. You get points for that, and you double the points if it's a commander. So it should be a fairly straightforward setup. I will roll a dice for the randomized deployment for the table, but you can see here I got small little village in the center there with some crops as the sort of rough terrain, and then a whole series of woods around there. So let's go take a look at the two forces and get into it. Okay, our first retinue is mainly comprising of a series of different sergeants. You can see here they're going to be led by a regular lord who also has a pennant. I'm not using the create your own lord capability or create your own commander ability. Didn't like that in the last, the way that kind of shook out in the last battle report. So I'm just running with the standard Lord Commander there. And he is going to be joining this small unit here of regular, the Lord is also regular, regular foot sergeants, and they're armed with regular weapons, and then they've got their medium shields going with them. They're going to be supported by some fast moving sergeants on cavalry, also regular, as I mentioned. So they should be, I think, useful for harrying the flanks as such. And then 2 units of 6, 1 and 2, 6 each crossbows sergeants, again, regular. And then they're going to be, the green fulfillment for this force is going to be these 8 just spearmen. So they're going to be carrying those. They're filling the component there. So this is the sergeant side. This model, I just want to aside. The commander, I think, it's one of my favorite models. He just looks absolutely terrifying. Yeah, let's see who they're going to be fighting against. The opposing faction today is this unit or this group of outlaws. They don't look too merry to me, but we've got, starting off with 8 regular outlaws with bows and padded armor. Another unit of 8 outlaws with bows with padded armor. You're starting to notice the theme there. And then we've got 8 regular spearmen. They also have padded armor. And the green component is going to be this group of outlaws here. I love, again, some really characterful models there. I really like those. And again, they're going to be fulfilling the green requirement for the force. So that's the completion or the totality of this force. Wait a second, where's their commander? Did I not put him out on the table? I don't see him. Hang on a second. Oh boy, yep, we're playing Robin Hood. All right, I had to do that. So yes, the commander for this force is going to be Robin Hood, and he's going to be faithfully backed up with Little John, the character there. I'm going to have Robin join one of the units of archers or the outlaw bowmen, and I'm going to have Little John following or leading, I should say, leading the unit of outlaws, the green outlaws. Again, a little bit carefully, I figure him being a weapons master, he's not going to let the rookies go unhelped. So he's gonna be supporting them. And as I said, Robin's going to be backing this up. And again, we'll see how much I can add in post-production of various sound effects and things like that. I tend not to do that kind of thing. But I am an absolutely huge fan of the 1980s Robin of Sherwood TV show. Again, growing up in England, I have very specific memories of watching that show as a kid and being just absolutely mesmerized by it. Hardly understanding any of it, especially the more kind of mystical, magical stuff of it, and watching it now, I find it actually quite brutal. I wouldn't let my kids watch it, but it's an absolute favorite, a classic of a show, and very much inspired what I'm looking to do here today. So I can now sort of reveal that yes, I'm seeing this unit as the merry men, and this unit over here being a group of dastardly sergeants that haven't even gotten the full backing or support of any noble knights to support their cause and hurt the village over here. So I'm sure this will play out in more of the campaign specific scenarios that are in the Death and Taxes book. But I am anticipating playing some of those. I've got another shipment of models on the way to do that, and some terrain too that I'm excited to see. So I think really, yeah, let's get this game going. As I said, I'm going to be playing the Hero Slayer mission, and I will roll a dice right before we get started to determine the deployment zones. All right, let's get started. Okay, so as I'm solo gaming this, I'm not going to roll 2 dice and let the side determine which deployment map we're going to do. I'm going to roll a d20, and then once I get a number between 1 and 12, that will be the map we use. Ooh, I got a 12. Oh, wow, very interesting. So it's going to be this one here, and then I'm going to quickly roll. The highest number can determine, how am I going to do that? All right, so this dice is for the sergeants, this dice is for Robin. Robin gets a 0. Robin can choose, and I'm going to have him be the attacking player, the player coming on in the blue sections, and the sergeants being on the red. We can imagine that the sergeants are causing trouble in the village, looking for taxes, which I feel like they were always doing, and Robin's going to come and save the day with his main men and put the pressure on them that way. So, all right, great. Now that's done. Let me get on with deployment. Both sides have deployed, and I'm really excited to get this started. So let's start with the sergeant's force and how they've deployed. So they're really kind of holding this middle strip of ground here. With what I've done is I've put the green sergeants here with the spears on this end, really kind of, again, not knowing what side the enemy is going to be coming from. And then in the center, we've got our commander with his unit of retainers, and then the 2 units of crossbows basically covering each side of the table or of the battlefield, and able to, I think, leverage his command ability there. So they're definitely, I think that's a pretty strong position to be holding for them. And then lastly, the mounted sergeants are over here, again, facing in opposing directions, because we don't know where, or I don't know where the attack is going to be coming from. So I think that's quite, it should be a fun scenario. So then moving over to Robin Hood's forces, the spearmen, his regular spearmen, they're here fairly open. They were the first unit to deploy, and they may not be in the best spot there, but hopefully their numbers can make up for their lack of ranged attacks there. And then over here is the man himself with his unit of outlaw bowmen, again seeking the cover of the trees here, but also able, I think, to sneak around and maybe take some shots at the sergeants there. So good, I think, good cover for them there. Now let's go around to the other side. Let's see, over here, again, relatively out in the open, but kind of seeking some cover behind this hill. We've got the other group of 8 outlaw bowmen, and then Little John and his unit of outlaws are here. Again, a little bit of cover from the woods there. They're not in, I don't think, too much trouble. Definitely, I think both sides of between the outlaw bowmen and the outlaws here, they're going to definitely be able to outnumber anything that they try to come into contact with on this side. Unless, of course, maybe those mounted sergeants are going to come and cause a problem. So, oof, lots of thoughts here. I'm going to try really hard to play this one as fairly and as I can. I'm obviously favoring the good guys. That's just the way I am. But I will definitely play this out to a even conclusion. I think that would give the most exciting battle report. And let's see, what else are we missing here? I'll roll to see, we can roll to see who gets the initiative first. So this will be Robin's roll, and this is okay. So the mounted sergeants will have the first turn, and they will not defer. So they're going to look to get the game going. So, all right, I think it's time to get started with turn 1. I highly recommend open up another tab, play some Clenad soundtrack so I don't get a copyright ding on my channel for adding any background music. And let's get this game on the road. Here we go. Okay, I just concluded turn one, and it was mostly a turn of movement, but there were some interesting matchups that are looking to take place here. I'd also say, just from giving this some thought and looking at the deployment, it really did sort of favor, I would say, if I was playing this a little more competitively, that because the Outlaws had split their forces on both sides of the battlefield, that the sheriff's men, or I say the sheriff's men, the sergeants could certainly have kind of tried to eliminate one side entirely first, turn around, and then came to take on the other side piecemeal. I think while that would probably be a significant advantage for them, it probably wouldn't make for a very interesting battle. And I am sort of, I think it's a little more interesting to have them kind of have the dilemma of splitting their forces and seeing which battles they're going to prioritize first. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about what happened in turn one. Opening move, the crossbow-armed sergeants here opened fire on that unit of spearmen. The spearmen elected to use their action or reaction to defend, and were successful in doing that, and so didn't take any casualties whatsoever, fortunately for them, although again, they're in a pretty vulnerable position there, just really at the mercy of those crossbows raining down on them. Thank goodness, though, Robin Hood is over here with his band of bow-armed outlaws. They advanced into the woods, and I thought about pushing them, giving them an extra move, but that would have made them weary, and I don't think they were they're not desperate to move so early on in the game. Elsewhere, let's see, over here, the mounted sergeants elected to go this way. I was really kind of debating whether to send them on which side of the battlefield to send them, but as soon as Robin got into the woods here, I figured, they're really not going to come off well in that match. So right now they're looking to scout around that little woodland there and hit this group of archers over here. So that's what they're looking to do. Meanwhile, there's a lot going on here. So over here, the crossbows advanced, but I figured with the hill, they were this unit with Little John was so far away that I figured they couldn't see kind of arc over the hill here in this regard. So they're holding their fire right now. Meanwhile, the bowmen here, I think they might be able to take advantage of the terrain to pop out. I think they're going to be able to do that, and they might also inflict some damage. Meanwhile, the green spearmen here on the sergeant side, they advanced into the rough terrain, movement penalty there, but their spears, I think, could certainly do some damage over here. And then really the last thing, the sergeant's commander here, he moved a little bit more towards this side of the table just to be able to keep that unit of crossbows in command if they need to. He did try to issue a command order for these crossbows to make them fire again, but they failed their morale check that they would need to do in order to be able to pass that. So with that all being said, that was the initial turn, or turn one. I'm going to move on to turn two, and in this turn, the Outlaws have the initiative. So let's see what happens in turn two. At the end of turn two, as you could probably expect by a bunch of fairly lightly armored spearmen charging down the face of a bunch of crossbows, they did in this turn not come off so well, and they lost 5 of their number, failed the morale check, and ran away. So really not a good or a good situation there for those spearmen. Now that being said, as that covers the crossbows there. Over here, Robin and his outlaws came out of the woods, and I used an extra action or ability to fire on the unit or the command unit over here. They did inflict 1 casualty, but again, they're slightly superior armor, and using a second ability to defend helped them out there. So they're weary as well. They're going into the next turn weary. And then over here, this was a bit of a mix-up too. I think I read the rules wrong. I initially had these archers pop out and shoot using their ability to do that. and caused quite a number of casualties on this unit of crossbows. But then really thinking through the way the rules are written, I think that ability requires 2 actions, and as they only have 1 and they're out of command range, they'd have to move now and then shoot in the next turn. So I think, you know, the next turn will probably favor them in that regard, but as of now, yeah, they're not looking in good shape. And then I also had the crossbow unit here shoot at Little John's band here, and they inflicted 3 casualties there. But I think, again, as I said, in the next turn, they'll definitely be able to do some damage. The green spears over here moved, and another move across the field. So they're closing in too. And then just lastly, the sergeants on horseback are coming around this side of the woods. I think they're in a pretty decisive turn next. So yeah, that's how turn 2 shook out. I'll pick up the tokens afterwards in the the typical upkeep phase as we have it here. But currently, yeah, a rough turn, a rough turn for the Outlaws. Let's see what happens in turn 3. Turn 3, and the combat is starting, or the battle, I should say, is starting to get a little more up close and personal. Still no direct melees, but we're getting close, I can definitely tell. So in terms of, first of all, let's just take care of the unit of Outlaw spears. They failed their morale check and they ran off the table. That did give the commander, in this case Robin Hood, a -1 to his morale. He was able to move forward into the woods and fired into this unit of crossbows here. There's only 2 of them left. They have been pretty staunchly defending shots. They defended shots from this unit of outlaw bows, but took some casualties getting hit from both sides there. And then trying to return some fire using the commander's command ability, but that didn't really work. Right now the commander is skulking behind the building here, staying outside of shooting range, but I definitely think there could be some advantage played here in coming out of cover and then getting stuck in a melee, which, for what it's worth, this unit of crossbows, I'm contemplating also doing something like that. They've got the cover of that building right now, but it might be advantageous to pull them out and have them put the squeeze on Robin Hood's unit there. Elsewhere, unfortunately, again, Little John took a casualty from that unit of crossbows that I've mentioned, and took, I think, 1 more casualty, which unfortunately, again, causing a morale check, they failed and they pulled back. But if they can pull off some magic, I think they might still be able to take a part in this battle. Now, that being said, they do have these green spearmen bearing down on them, and the unit of mounted sergeants are over here, and they're definitely in a position to attack in the next turn. So I think whoever gets the drop in terms of the initiative roll is going to have a interesting decision to make in the next turn. So again, 5 turns, but we're going to move on to turn 4 here, and let's see what happens. After turn 4, we can see here the green spearmen from the sergeant side charged into Little John's unit of green outlaws. They inflicted 1 casualty and were able to push them back. Devastatingly good turn for these archers. They fired at the mounted sergeants that were initially here and were able to eliminate all of them. That was a really devastating volley of fire that they were able to have there. The 2 crossbows here had little to no effect. They're not really, I don't think, contributing much to the battle anymore. And in fact, I know I need to move that dice down to a 3. Elsewhere, this was exciting. Over here, the leader of the sergeants came around the building and then used one of their additional command abilities to charge Robin Hood's unit. It was a really interesting use, I feel like, and again, one of the interesting mechanics of how the game works. I used their first move. They got the initiative. They moved out completely in the open, as it were, to face down the unit of archers there. But Little John had to use his first move to rally from the effects of the previous turn. So they were then immediately able to use their second turn or second activation to charge into the unit of Robin's archers there. They did inflict a couple of casualties. I think they took one in return. And then subsequently, Robin Hood's unit used another action to inflict one more casualty on that unit of sergeants there. So they've lost 2 so far. And then just lastly, this unit of crossbows are sneaking around the edge of the building here. They're not, I don't think they're quite yet within, well, I guess they could do some hindered shooting like that, or something to that effect, but their part in this battle might have been played out. Anyway, let's see, yeah, giving a shoot out or pull out a little bit here so you can see the overall lay of the land. And yep, let's move into turn 5, last turn of the game. Turn 5 and the final turn of the game saw the sergeants here, the green spearmen, charge into melee combat with Little John's unit, also with green outlaws. They inflicted 1 casualty and almost got a blow on Little John himself, but he was able to make some good saves. Over here, these bowmen subsequently fired into the unit of green spearmen here. I think they only inflicted 1 casualty though. Again, ineffective use or ineffective results from these lone crossbow guys here. They didn't do anything. And then a bit of a really interesting sort of tactical dilemma that I had over here, that essentially let's just start here. First of all, the sergeant commander moved around the building. I thought about having him try to charge across rough terrain and fight Robin Hood's unit when they were here, but I just thought with the movement penalty there, which wasn't worth the risk, so I moved them away. Now, I also had the dilemma of what to do with the archers or Robin Hood unit here. I initially thought about having them chase after the sergeant commander, but I also thought that they're just going to get charged back in return. So I had them pull back, which left them open to fire from or for 1 round of firing here from the spearmen, from the crossbows. But it was a long range, and I figured that sort of made sense. So they pulled back a further turn and used their 3rd command action to unleash a volley 2, which did inflict. Let's see there. No, it didn't. I'm sorry, it didn't cause any hits. And then there was just a brief kind of exchange there. I had the commander here use extra command actions to have them keep shooting. It made them wary, but ultimately, it was the last turn. It had no effect, but it seemed to be a good use of turns there. The only other thought I had was really putting Robin Hood and his team behind the building there, but that seemed kind of out of character and a little dull to just have both commanders running away. So with that being said, that was the last turn. While I think it's a conclusive victory, I don't think it was by any means a wash. So I'm going to do a quick add up of the victory points, and let's get a result from the game. So here are both sides' losses. Let's start with the sergeants. They lost 4 crossbows, 2 regular sergeants. They lost that unit of 4 mounted sergeants there, and 1 green spearman. And then for the outlaws, they lost the 4 outlaw bowmen, this group here of 6 just regular outlaws, the green outlaws. Sorry, not regular outlaws, just green. And then this unfortunate unit here of 8 outlaw spearmen. So adding up the numbers, basically the outlaws lost 244 points and the sergeants lost 167. So that was the overall result. It was a victory for the sergeants' side. They did really well there. Yeah, that was the game. I really let's just putting together some final thoughts here. I know it probably seems from the outset that the unit of spearmen here were just completely left out to dry. They were the first unit to deploy, and I knew I wanted to keep the woods. Let's go over here now and talk about this. I really wanted to keep the woods free and clear for Robin to be able to run through, and I knew that the outlaws wouldn't be able to really get stuck in the game if they were stuck in that terrain cover. So that's kind of why I did that. And as I said, they were the first unit to be deployed, so they really were at sort of the whim of the sergeants in how they're going to be deployed. Now, outside of that, I think probably the main thing I really want to stress is this game, unlike any of the other ones I've played and really posted videos for, it really, I feel, pushed my thinking in terms of how a lot of these rules are nuanced to work. I'm not almost, I'm certain I got some certain rules clarifications a little wrong. And please, by all means, this is one game I'll say like call them out. It's just I guarantee if I played this game again, I'd be correcting some of those issues that I had. You know, things that and a few of them I did kind of go back and do, like that, using that every bloody Sunday rule, making me realize like, oh yeah, they can't only do one act. They really need to be with the within the commander's distance to use that effectively, I feel. Let's see what else. I think that, yeah, a number of other things. I really hope I'm using commands in the right way. And I genuinely got some questions about how certain things work. Other small things, again, right off the bat, I'm not entirely sure I can split off Little John and just stick him in another command group. Maybe he has to be with Robin, but the same token, I read this after the fact of me, shooting the little clip of what the forces are, that the Bannerman doesn't count as an extra model. He basically replaces one of the unit of the group that the commander joins. Again, things like that, I think they all sort of come out in the wash, all parts being equal. But again, just lessons that I've learned along the way, and I know when I play the next battle or shoot the next report, which I'm hoping to do soon, then I can get those things a little more refined. And yeah, I'll keep making videos for this game. I really do enjoy it. I'm excited to have new models coming in the mail and new terrain and getting that put together. I do already have a few things up on the paint table that I'm trying to fit in amongst my other big project right now that you might be aware of. Yeah, just enjoying getting some models on the table. And I think another thing, again, I've typically played these 500-point battles. I've got more models than I could use in a 500-point game, but I like to switch them around a little bit rather than just playing the same game with the same set of models. Although that being said, the varied deployment setups in this game I absolutely love. Like, this game would have been entirely different with just a single roll of the dice and a different deployment. But I'm going to keep painting models. I think and they're also quite handy that you don't need like masses of them. I can find myself knocking them out in little batches of 4 a night or something like that when I get the chance. So yeah, now I am completely rambling like I do at the end of every video, but it was a fun game. I'm enthusiastic about getting more of this on the table and more of this on YouTube to share with everyone. So I hope it was enjoyable. I hope it wasn't too one-sided, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you.